The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Wednesday, the 25th day of June, 2025. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. Big shout out to Hot 107.5, making sure that we're pumping through the airways for additional folks to have access to these community conversations. I'm Jamel Hartman, and Teo Dill will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in the news break brought to you by Peoples. It's Wednesday. How's everyone feeling today? It is the middle of the traditional work week, better known to many as Hump Day. Is everyone feeling good? I think it's graduation week this week for Bermuda's public schools, the senior schools, the Berkeley Institute, and of course, the legendary Cedar Bridge Academy. So big up to all the students who have made their way. Congrats, and may this be yet another step to the next steps and the on your journey to whatever success looks like to you. But how's everyone feeling? Everyone feeling good? I mean, it's hot. It's hot, folks. I'm pretty sure everyone tuning to this show is somewhere where it's extremely hot. I mean, I have been blazing. But that said, got my electricity bill yesterday. So the AC went off last night. Yeah, the AC went off. Look, I already told you all, right? I already told you all that I'm not into arguing with the utilities companies about my bill. I'm just going to adjust. So the AC went off, and I ran and ordered me like one of those 1999 fans. And those fans will help keep me cool because I'm not paying $113 for electricity. Oh, you all are probably like, seriously, Jamal, that's a lot. Considering my bill last month was $68. Yeah, I'm being very transparent. That's a big jump. So, yeah, the AC went off last night, folks. I just said I'm not doing this. I'm not going to be complaining all summer. Now, in Texas, I think it was Texas, the governor, I think it was the Texas governor Abbott or someone in Texas told people if they want to keep their costs low through the summer, keep their AC at 78. Well, my AC is usually 75 to 76. So it's not like I keep it like very low because I don't like freezing temps. I like comfortable, right? So yeah, we had to have a compromise, and we decided, and by we, I mean me, decided that we're gonna go without. I will only utilize it mornings when I'm coming from the gym and I need the place to be cool to cool me down. So that's that. Mark Arthur C. Phillips says, nah, fam, I don't care what my bill is. AC is staying on. Okay. Suzanne Ingham says, super awesome day, Jamel and Teo. Yes, Berkeley graduation is tomorrow. My grandson is graduating. I'll miss tomorrow, Jamel, but I'll be back on Friday. You know what? You better miss us for your grandson's graduation. Congratulations to your grandson on graduating from the Berkeley Institute, and all the best to your grandson in whatever he chooses to do after that. So big up to your grandson. Suzanne. Anyway, folks, greetings everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome the Director of Public Prosecutions, Cindy Clarke, onto the show. We're going to be discussing the positive changes made in terms of legislation and justice due to SCAR's advocacy for children in Bermuda. So looking forward to the conversation with Ms. Clarke. The Daily Play is going to be music related today. All right, music related. So don't let me down, audience. Don't let me down. I'm just going to say, if there is anyone who likes hip hop, this question may apply to you. It's not Motown today. We're going to go hip hop today. All right. And folks, please don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right. So James Burgess over on LinkedIn says, good morning to the Daily Hour team. I'm watching from home in this heat. AC coming on. I hear you, Mr. Burgess. I hear you. Thank you for tuning in. All right, here's your question of the morning. So the question of the morning is, we had Dr. Sam, the president of Bermuda College, on Monday, and he was speaking about how they're going to be honoring those who have been through the college and are excelling in the trades and technical and culinary fields, etc. Question of the morning is, how can we position Bermuda College to attract more students? Enrollment's still open. And also, I just want to get an idea from the audience. Did you attend Bermuda College at any point in your academic career? Yes or no? And let me just give you some insight. So when Joe Biden was the president of the United States, he basically passed a bill or policy with student debt relief. Well, student loan collection is intensifying in the United States right now. I guess the Republicans and courts, many conservatives, opposed student debt relief. And I'm just reading from LinkedIn right now. The federal government is stepping up efforts to collect on student loans, and as many as 2 million borrowers could have their wages garnished next month if they move into default, the Wall Street Journal reports. Another 3 million could default by September. The Education Department has already threatened to withhold tax funds from delinquent borrowers. And this summer, it will begin deducting as much as 15% from paychecks. There remains roughly 1.6 trillion in outstanding student debt, and defaults are already affecting credit scores. Now, you all already know how I feel about higher education when it comes to formal education. I think it's a business at this point, unless you're going to school for specific things, maybe law, medical, something. You can literally get certifications at this point, right? But this is part of the American dream that they sold you. And I've said this since I was a young child, that the American dream is a nightmare for most. The American dream is built on legit making the 1% richer. You go in debt to go and get a degree. How is that systemic? Well, you've got jobs, retail jobs, selling shoes in a retail store that require a bachelor's degree now. Those jobs are not paying you enough to pay off your student debt and live a life of enjoyment. It's a system thing, right? And so Craig Simmons said on this show, and he said it numerous times when he's come on, community colleges are the way to go. Community colleges will save our economy. Community colleges will help people avoid the kind of debt that larger institutions, especially the private ones, put people in. So the question of the morning, and Teo's got a story for you later, but how can we position Bermuda College to attract more students? And not just Bermudian students, but also non-Bermudian students. Did you attend Bermuda College? A yes or no question, audience. Let's see what you're saying. Karen Simmons says yes. Manuela John says yes. Papa Cheesy says no. Sheldon Fox says yes. Sean Smith says yes. Renee Simmons says yes. Nicole Walker says yes. Manuela John says sixth form center as well as Bermuda College. Okay. Marquita Lee says yes, and my son graduated 4 years ago with a degree in HVAC, and one of my girls graduated from there as well, is teaching in nursery. I love that. I hope that your son's going to be part of the Build to Last campaign, Marquita Lee. All right, so it looks like a good group of our audience has attended Bermuda College. Richard Scott said Bermuda College, yes, 1 year, 86, 87, Prospect campus. Taking us back now, Richard, taking us back. I'm acting as old as Charles H. Jefferson II. Patrice Pachai says yes. Kenton Trott, yes. NTS says no. James Burgess says no. I was on the docks around 1964, lifting cement feed, never attended Blacks BIU seminars. Nachika Trott says yes, Traveling Trotty, sorry. And Mark Officer C. Phillips says no. So I'm going to say a large majority of this audience attended at some point. Myself, I did attend Bermuda College. Bermuda College helped me get into graduate school, and that turned out okay. But now the question, audience, how can we position Bermuda College to attract more students? The numbers are telling us a story right now globally. The United States, which is known for attracting students from around the world, has given so many others an opportunity with how they're treating student visas. Again, Teo's going to have a story for you a bit later. But students are on edge in the United States right now. I think Bermuda College has an opportunity to prepare for students if they want to go on to large institutions in the most cost-effective way. But there's a challenge here, folks. There's a challenge. It's housing. We have a housing crisis in Bermuda. So if we were to attract students from overseas, where would they stay? We can't even house Bermudians, let alone expat workers. So where would we house them? Was it Dr. Brown who oversaw the Stonington deal? Maybe I should reach out and ask him, is there regret in that? How do we keep Bermudian students home to do their first couple of years at Bermuda College? Is that something that we can do? Like, what ideas can we come up with to keep things flowing in Bermuda? And think about it, folks. Let's start with keeping Bermudians home. If we keep people in Bermuda, that keeps money circulating. That's the less money going outside of the island. And I'm not just talking about tuition and fees, but we're talking about groceries. These are people who are going to be putting money into our grocery stores. Gas, they'll have to get around, or if they're public transportation, paying into that system. I think there's a way. I don't have the answers, and I'm not in the inn at Bermuda College, but enrollment's still open. You heard Dr. Sam. The United States is not cheap, regardless of where you go right now. It's not a cheap place. So those who are going overseas to school, for higher education, if not on scholarship, they got to eat. They have to, probably if they're not on campus, pay for rent. If they aren't on campus, may have to pay for transportation. How can we change the minds of people? How can we get people to say, you know what? Craig Simmons was right. Dr. Sam was right. Let me do 2 years at Bermuda College. And let me save my family and I some money. Or let me do 1 year and maybe I can get a scholarship. What are your thoughts, audience? Manuela John says education experiences seem to have started to make a difference in workspaces to give the opportunity to boost wages, particularly in Bermuda government. I want to say this, though. I have to say this. I don't want to downplay the experience of an overseas college education. Myself, for me, a change in environment actually helped. I was a student where I had to get out of the space I was in to actually become a better learner. I had to be in spaces I was not comfortable with. Like, that was me. So there are some benefits to people going straight outside, but even still, It doesn't have to be some large, expensive institution. But what are your thoughts? What can we do? How can we position Bermuda College to attract more students? Sean Smith says, convert closed hotels into student housing. Yeah. I like that idea. I'm trying to think if I said something like that before. I may have. Yeah, I think we're aligned. Renee Simmons says, the housing can be fixed. There are schools closed, buildings available that can be transformed into housing units for students wanting to attend Bermuda College. Well, yeah, maybe the Housing Corporation or those who, the Airbnb folks, can work with Bermuda College for with students. Maybe that's an option. Maybe that's an option. If you all don't mind, I want to bring, so let me give you some background. Teo has been in this space. He worked at Bermuda College, part of recruitment. He's more than a perspective in this conversation like I am. He actually has the experience in that. So I'm going to bring Teo in so that he can give some insight on, what can possibly be done, right? And have this conversation. So let's bring Teo in, see what his thoughts are. Morning, Tay.
Hey, Jay, morning. I am deeply grateful for this conversation and for Dr. Sam. He's such a good brother. I'm grateful he's leading the college, and I'm confident that he's going to make the place better. Continue the upward trajectory that the school has been on as far as enhancing the experience for students over the past so many years. Mm-hmm. Here is the problem. I was at the college for 10 years or so. And in that entire time, I learned one thing that is non-negotiably absolutely true. For the vast majority of Bermudian students, and I don't work there no more, so I have no vested interest in saying this, right? It doesn't serve me to say this. It's just true. For the vast majority of Bermudian students, going to the college to start their post-secondary education is the best option by far. Absolutely. Straight up and down is not even close. In fact, I can be more specific. If you're not independently wealthy, if coming up with 30 grand a year is something that's going to be difficult on any level, going to the college first is the only choice that makes sense. The problem is that it sort of syncs up with what you were saying earlier about getting out of here. What is also equally true is that for our young people to become truly, fully developed human beings, they have got to get out of this country for an extended period. They got to leave the bubble, to go see the world, touch it, be in it, meet people, learn who they are, all that stuff. However, the problem is they think, as young people tend to do, because they can't deal with the future, everything is now. Yeah. They think going to the college means that I'm never going away. Yeah. As opposed to going to the college means when you go away, you don't come back until you're finished. Yeah. Because what happens so often, and we all know people in our lives that have done this, and I'm not exaggerating at all. We all know people like this. They've gone straight away to school, and within 18 months, they're back home because they were not ready for that yet. Yeah. Not necessarily academically speaking, but just being an independent agent, right?
Well, Teo, you mentioned something, not just academically thinking, but it's so much more than academics, right? I mean, this is the first time most are away from supervision from a guardian or parent, right? Like for me, I'm going to say this. I know we're on radio and I know there are possibly children listening. But one of the first things they did to me when I went away to college, these fellows took me to a strip club, and I was afraid. I'm gonna be honest. I was honest.
No, me too. I had the same experience. I went to a Canadian strip club where they don't have dollar bills. They got the loonies. They were chucking metal discs. It was a terrible experience.
And for me, I was not ready for that. I went a bit I went to college. You had graduated at 19. I went at 19. Like that's so I was a bit older, right? And it was a scary thing for me because it was like I have never seen this before. And in my opinion, my mind wasn't developed enough. Like I took longer to grow up, you know what I'm saying? So that first 2 years that I spent overseas, I just knew my mother may have been small and a quiet person, but I knew I could not return to Bermuda unless I had a degree. So the best I could offer is I had to negotiate with her to transfer schools.
Mm-hmm.
And that negotiation wasn't easy because the other school was probably 5-6 times more expensive.
Oof.
So mama had to go put the house on the line.
See, look.
Right? You feel what I'm saying? See,
and that pressure, right?
There you go.
For both of you, for your whole family.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a burden that the kids just don't think about.
Yeah. My family's probably like, this boy's too transparent on this show, but it's real. And I believe in sharing our experiences so that we can learn from each other, you know? It's difficult. And the strain that you put on yourself and your family, Bermuda College can ease that. And I know it seems like Taylor and I is going off, but I plead with people because Taylor, you're going to share some things about what's going on in the U.S. today. But right now, like if a young person, we've got Teray Toll on this show, right? And Teray is one of the most brilliant minds Bermuda has had. I mean, she's just brilliant, right?
Yeah, she's one of them.
She's had strong opinions on this show about U.S. politics. The way they work is like they have a right to go through her phone to see if she said something about the system. And I'd say she's a student. Like it's becoming more difficult. And I see these as opportunities for Bermuda.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
But the only way to make the college feel like the kind of place that's more attractive to potential international students is for it to be popping locally, right? Like it used to be back in the day.
But Taylor,
with the college weeks and all that.
That goes to every conversation we have, like tourism. The other day we were talking.
Exactly.
You have to make it good. The locals, you have to focus on the locals first. Once you focus on the locals, the tourists will buy in because tourists want to do what the locals do, right? So same thing with Bermuda College. Get the locals on board, and then everything else will come.
Right. And this is the frustrating thing, right? Because in terms of academic value, academic currency, the college provides that in spades. Like the college is accredited by the New England Council for Higher Education, NECHI. This is the body that validates Harvard, academic MIT. Institutions like MIT, Yale. Dartmouth, Harvard, Yale, right? Like all them places. The same organization that says those schools are legit say Bermuda College is legit, which is to say, if you take English class, an accounting class, a math class, a philosophy class, a psychology class, history class, if you take that at Bermuda College, it's the same content as what you would get in your first 2 years at any school in the States, Canada, and the Caribbean, straight up and down. It's not even an argument, right? Yeah. So you're getting the same academic value. The difference is, you're not going to be away. And of course, again, you got to go away. Like, I feel like if a young person doesn't want to leave the island, I feel like something's wrong with them. Like they should go see a doctor, get the hormones tested.
Yeah, I think the college experience is so much more than academic. Like, I mean, for me, I was like the Johnny Barnes, especially in graduate school. I was in there shaking every hand, and I couldn't even pronounce some of my Chinese classmates' names. Right, that was my ignorance. But we knew each other. I used to host the open mics in undergrad, but I made myself known and more so because I wanted to get to know people. I wanted to learn their cultures. I became friends with my two closest friends in graduate school. One was from India, one was from Morocco. And we would take Sundays and cook for each other. I mean, I'm not going to brag about my cooking. It didn't come out too well. It wasn't representative of what we do. But you know what? I made a few attempts. Don't judge me. Forget I said that part. But I enjoyed eating their food. I learned, and I became a fan of their foods and what they. Why are you laughing still?
I'm laughing at. I'm just imagining like what you tried to make. The cassava pie must have been flat.
No, I tried fish cakes and I tried curry chicken, and I wanted to do curry like the Jamaican curry because she had did Indian curry once, and then she was just like, "Oh, do they usually use this much powder in it? I was like, well,
I guess. I don't know.
I mean, I put a little twist to it. Anyway,
that's a word for it.
Do the news. But let me give some thanks to Titan Express Secure Trucking for supporting our daily discussion. Then we'll do the news intro and we'll start the news break. And Teo, before we do this, you got that clip of Donald Trump cussing yesterday?
No, I didn't. I thought about it, but I wasn't
sure.
No,
Tay. Hold on. Where is it? We got a censor button. Yeah, I don't know if I could have timed that, but that brother crazy, man. Okay, we got to do this. We'll be back in a minute.
The Daily Discussion is brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Visit TitanEXBDA.com, your leading tour and transport provider specializing in Black History tours throughout the island. And SecureBDA.com for all your property management, waste management, residential, and commercial trucking needs. Professional, punctual, and reliable service is our commitment to you.
All right. Welcome to the People's Pharmacy news broadcast here on the Daily Hour. And we've got some wonderful news for you. It starts off a little shaky, but it's good. The first named storm of this year's Atlantic hurricane season is formed, and thankfully it's already gone.
I'm like, how is that wonderful news?
No, I'm saying to you, it was formed on June 24th, just yesterday, about 1,600 kilometers west of the Azores, about 2,000 kilometers away from us, before weakening quickly, becoming a post-tropical system less than 12 hours after formation. It showed up in unfavorably cold waters, didn't have access to the necessary heat to build into something serious, should be fully dissipated by this evening. However, there is something to worry about. Tropical Storm Andrea set a new record as the farthest north and east a tropical system is formed in the Atlantic during June since 1851. Climate change, climate change, climate change, climate change. That's all I'm going to say.
But they told me that's not true, Teo.
Who told you that? The fella that was cussing outside the White House?
Yeah, him and his friends.
Yeah. Well, I mean, clearly, his judgment is less than trustworthy. Now, considering our guest today and the necessary focus that TDH is applying to child protection overall, I figured we'd spend some time this morning looking at the available data on child abuse here in Bermuda. So the best, most up-to-date information on the subject is found in the Family Center and the Bermuda Health Council's 2021 paper on Bermuda Adverse Childhood Experiences, which has some sobering numbers. Off top, about a third of people surveyed reported growing up in a home where a person abused drugs or alcohol or was depressed, or suicidal or mentally ill, while about half were raised in a single parent household, which is one of the key indicators for long-term life challenges. Now, on top of that, over 60% grew up seeing, hearing, and feeling the impact of someone they lived with being screamed at or insulted. And on top of that, about the same number were raised having that kind of verbal abuse being aimed directly at them by a parent or household member, at least sometimes. Also, just under a third saw a parent or household member getting physically assaulted, at least occasionally, and nearly 2/3 grew up getting hit by members of their household. Now, here's where it gets even heavier. About 1 in 5 had a parent or guardian threaten to kick them out of the house and abandon them while they were a child. And about a quarter grew up either having been forced into unwanted intercourse at least once, or had someone make a serious attempt to force them into intercourse, or having been made to touch another person in an undesirable sexual way. More than 40% reported being themselves touched. More than 40% reported being themselves touched in a sexual way by another person while they were growing up. Now, Jay, those numbers are shocking, right?
You said more than 40%?
Yeah, about 40%. Yeah.
So 2 in 5. That's incredibly high.
It doesn't feel good to think about. But here is the other point about it. We're a little safer for kids here than in the rest of the Caribbean. And my video on this isn't working. I apologize. But a Pan American Health Organization paper from 2019 indicated that about 60% of children in Latin America and the Caribbean experienced some kind of violence while they were growing up. Mm-hmm. And Caribbean countries are some of the worst in the region for violent child discipline between birth and the age of 14. 3/4 of kids in Barbados and Trinidad got hit, close to 85% of Jamaica, over 2/3 in St. Lucia. And as you'd expect, those countries are more likely to think that this kind of thing is okay. A full third of parents in Barbados think corporal punishment is straight up necessary. Like you got to hit them to raise them. And yeah.
Do you remember we were at Hot 107.5? Shout out to everyone tuning into Hot 107.5 right now, the radio, many years ago. And you and I got the entire country upset because we spoke poorly about Tyler Perry and his movies. Mm-hmm. And Tyler Perry's still going strong today. And one of the things I never liked about his movies is that it reinforces that the only way to discipline is to basically, fight through violence. Mm-hmm. And over the years, you've had many people, the Rashida Godwins, the Junior Bertos, Ajala Amadele, and so many others in Bermuda who kind of have taught you the history of violent discipline and where it comes from, right? Mm-hmm. And I think we kind of, as a community, we think that once people stopped being violent with children, then the children became unruly. And I guarantee you, if you actually look at the numbers that Teo is sharing, the opposite is likely true.
Yeah, I mean, it beggars belief. Just think about it, right? I mean, straight up, as to the point as we can be. Do you genuinely think the young men that are out here committing the kind of crimes that tear our hearts out were not like hit as children? You really think that they're unfamiliar with violence? Seriously?
I mean, verbal violence, physical violence,
like they just sort of leapt into this without any context.
Yeah,
like they're all genuine psychopaths. Like really?
Video someone's doing a series where a young man was talking about 4 years old, someone blowing smoke in his face, and by the time he reached teen years, he was on hard stuff like that. That's let's not act like someone cannot raise a child fully disciplined, educated, and never ever be violent towards them physically, emotionally. Let's not act like that's not possible, because there are plenty of examples of that.
Yeah, and using violence to interact with a human being. Mm-hmm. The only context in which that's appropriate is with children. Mm. Like your boss can't do it to you.
Yeah.
Your partner can't do it to you. Mm-hmm. The police aren't even supposed to do it to you.
Yeah.
Right. But for the people who can defend themselves the least, that's where you think, oh yeah. They need a good crack upside the mouth because I don't like the way they're talking to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, come on.
All right, Dave, what else you got?
Well, to lighten things up a little bit, sharing memes apparently can ruin your vacation. This is what Jay was talking about before. So the U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance. So you've probably seen this photoshopped image of him before. Well, according to a 21-year-old Norwegian fella, he was banned from entering the U.S. and interrogated by ICE agents for 12 hours before being shipped back home after they found this picture on his phone. Landed in New Jersey on June 11th. He got yanked out the line, took him to a room with armed guards and started the extended questioning, strip search, blood testing, the works. He says it all really kicked off when he got his phone, saw this meme. Now, the U.S. Border Patrol has responded to the story, and they're saying that he got booted because of his self-professed drug use. However, he's never been convicted or charged with any crime in any country at any time. Now, I say all that to say, here's what could be the worst part. The Norwegian Ministry of Foreign Affairs responded saying that Norwegians need to be savvy about U.S. rules prior to their visit, as in, look, it is what it is. Now, why this could matter for us, if you use your UK passport to travel to the U.S., you got to apply for an ESTA to get into the country, one of them temporary visas. On that form, they ask you for your social media information, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, all of that. So if you've been wilding, like posting all kind of crazy, let me be careful. if you've been, I mean, I'm gonna fly too, right? But if you've been getting busy on Twitter about the Trump administration, be prepared to have bought yourself an uncomfortable experience at JFK. That is where things are for us today.
Didn't I tell you a couple weeks ago? We're not talking about Elon and Trump, and we're not doing that on the show anymore. And look at us this morning.
Yeah.
Well, look at you. I didn't say anything.
Did.
They can go back and watch anything.
Yeah, but see that. Look, I'm hoping, right, because the airports are busy places. I'm hoping they don't have time to like find the Daily Hour episode 1000 whatever, then get to 40 minutes in. Like, I think we're cool. Like, I don't think we're gonna have the attention span to really find like our stuff. But the shorts that Maya have been doing might get us jammed up. We got to talk to her.
I think the United States is a great country, man. I think keep doing a great job, and hey, you got some weather for us today?
Yeah. There's not a lot to say about the weather. In fact, it's just lots of sun, gentle breeze, a little bit of rain between now and the end of the week. Humidity, though, will continue to climb. So that bottle leave-in conditioner, don't leave it at the bathroom. Take it with you. Might be essential.
All right. Well, check this out. Today, we've got goat cheese day. We've got catfish day. But I like this one. It's also Color TV day. Yeah, days of the year, Color TV. Did you I know all of you can't see it, especially those watching. But the reason Teo's hiding behind the mic is because if he goes to the left a bit, you'll notice the gray in his beard. So one of us lost the hair up top, the other got gray on their face. So Teo, because
two of us lost it up top. I'm not bending forward. I'm telling you that.
I didn't want to tell them that. But all that to say, folks, because of Color TV, you can now see who's got a natural dark beard and who's grayed up. So happy Color TV day to you, Tay.
Yeah. I'm suspicious, to be honest with you. But you know what though? You are so transparent. If you were using the Grecian formula on the beard, we would know. Like we would totally know.
But what's crazy, Tayo, is I go out, people literally ask me. It's fascinating. And I didn't know until I went on social media. I was like, do men really color their beards? No, I've never colored my beard. No, I've never put anything to make my hair come back. I'm not that. I don't care about stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm not. If you catch me dyeing my beard, like pull me to the side, have an intervention, because like I will have fundamentally revolutionized my personality. I'm older. Yeah, this is happens, right? I've earned this. Yeah. I think.
I mean, I wouldn't mind some gray. I mean, I feel like my friends with gray, they've got that wisdom thing going. At least they say it.
And my wife, I'm telling you, my wife, she says it looks pretty sharp.
It's just gonna make you feel good anyway. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna hold this, but we're gonna let you go because we've got a very important guest and we've got to bring her on now. But Tay, I am so proud and excited and happy to announce that the better half of the Dill family is a St. George's fan for Cup Match.
God.
Later. Peace.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man. See you later. Bye.
All right, folks, don't go anywhere. We're going to take a quick break. We're coming back. We've got the DPP, Cindy Clarke, coming on. We're talking about SCAR's advocacy and legislative changes that have been made because of them. So do not go anywhere. And I want to see if anyone's got this daily play coming up a bit later. So stick with us. We'll be back in a few.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
Hi there, welcome to Medical House. We're located at number 6 Bakery Lane. I can't wait to show you all of the great stuff that we carry. Come on inside, let's see. Long days, long shifts, you no longer have to endure comfortable underwear. Designed by nurses, we now offer premium undergarments by Swoop that are unique, fun, comfortable, and functional. The only underwear you'll ever want to wear. Who says high-quality functional products can't be stylish and comfortable at the same time?
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
96 degrees, real hot, oh yes.
Summer's heating up, but your home, it can chill. BAC is turning down the heat with 20% off Carrier X-Power mini split AC units. They're sleek, whisper quiet, and smart thanks to energy-saving inverter technology. New install, upgrade, doesn't matter. Just don't miss out. For a limited time, get 20% off when you pay with cash, credit, or debit.
96 degrees, real hot.
Swing by BAC on Mill Creek Road today.
Discover Drop It, your go-to grocery delivery. Browse and select from a wide range of groceries, from fresh produce to daily essentials. Our friendly drivers deliver fresh groceries to your door fast, saving you time and hassle. With Drop It, you get fresh groceries delivered fast so you can focus on what really matters. Drop It, freshness at your doorstep, delivered to your door with Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
Dreaming of expanding your business? With BDC's Loan Guarantee Program, we support your ambitions. Get up to 75% guarantee on bank or credit union loans up to $300,000. Just your vision and our support. Apply today and unlock new business opportunities. BDC, Bermuda business starts here.
At Umami, we don't just sell spices, we spark something bigger. We believe food isn't just fuel, it's connection, it's tradition, it's joy. Our dream? To help you eat better, love louder, and maybe even start a little food revolution. One home-cooked, flavor-packed meal at a time. Because cooking isn't just a chore, it's an act of love. Umami Spice. Gather, cook, connect.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. Jamal Hartman here. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindo's, People's Pharmacy, and big up to Hot 107.5, making sure that we are pumping through the radio airwaves for every last one of you. Don't forget to subscribe on our website, follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. And I ask this every morning, hopefully one day I don't have to, but audience, do us that big favor. For those who are streaming, whether you're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, X, do us that favor, help us beat the algorithm to ensure that as many people in our community have access to these community conversations as possible. So give us a like, love, follow, share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues, WhatsApp groups, text, however you choose, email. Just make sure no one has an excuse to not know that these conversations are taking place. Without further ado, we have the Director of Public Prosecutions, Cindy Clarke, who will be joining us. She's also a board member for SCARS, and these SCARS conversations are proudly brought to you by the QBE Foundation. So let's give a warm TDH welcome to the DPP, Cindy Clarke. Hello, welcome.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
Wonderful. First of all, thank you for your patience. Teo talks a lot, so don't mind him. But thank you for your patience. And I gotta ask you, before we jump into anything, did you at any point attend Bermuda College?
Yes, I wanted to start with that. So yes, I was a Bermuda College graduate, did my 2 years associate's degree in arts and science before I went off to do my Bachelor of Arts. So I join you both in suggesting every Bermudian should take that opportunity.
This is amazing. See, the Director of Public Prosecutions started at Bermuda College. Now,
yep.
Bermuda College, that's a promo we can use. No, seriously, thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
That the conversation tied in. But yeah, let's jump right into it. For the audience, for those who may not know, just tell the audience a bit about your background and what your role is with SCARS.
Yeah, okay. So I was locally trained through public school. Before I went to Bermuda College, I went off to Canada for my Bachelor of Arts, and then over to England for my Bachelor of Laws and my professional degree to become a lawyer. Mm-hmm. I've been prosecuting ever since. It's going to be 26 years this cut match. I'm Bermuda's first Bermudian female DPP. And with SCARS, I've been with SCARS since 2017. So when I was deputy director, I joined the SCARS board. But before then, yeah, also to involvement with SCARS.
I say this respectfully. For those on radio, 26 years, you look very young, madam.
Oh, that's kind. No, I just had my 50th birthday, and I'm very proud to say so.
Oh, happy 50th. Happy 50th.
Thank you.
So SCARS has been a tireless advocate. Props to everyone at SCARS, Miss Debbie, for child protection in Bermuda. From your perspective and your position, what are some of the most important legislative or justice system changes that have come about because of their advocacy? Oops, you're muted for somehow you went on mute. That was strange. She's still here, folks who are tuned in. Just gotta unmute her.
Okay, how's that?
Yep, there we go.
Don't know what happened, but let me give a lot of respect and props to Debbie. She has done an amazing job at bringing SCARS and bringing attention to child sex abuse in Bermuda. Teo's stats are quite frightening, but some of the most important legislative changes, some of the recent ones at least, came out in the miscellaneous child safeguarding amendments to our criminal code. And that's a big fancy legal title, but one of the major things it did was allow children to give evidence remotely, so they don't actually have to face the person they're accusing, you know, so that's a big one. So we can also record their evidence in advance. And we've done a couple of cases now where they've been recorded in advance, and that's helpful because we sit in a room with the judge, the prosecutor, the defense counsel, and someone there to support the child, and that's it. Right? And that makes it much more comfortable for children to tell a story. And then in other courtrooms, we can have them testify via remote access, so either Zoom or any other platform, and the child's in a place where they're comfortable rather than having to sit in that courtroom and face the person that they say abused them. So that's one of the major changes.
I like that. And that's huge. That is huge, because I could not imagine having to relive that and have to face the person who abused you. Audience, if you have any questions or comments for Ms. Clarke, please send them through and we'll get through as many as possible. Over the years, how has the prosecution of child abuse cases in Bermuda improved, whether through laws or more public awareness or even stronger courtroom procedures, like you just mentioned?
So, of course, every aspect that you've mentioned is a major one. So over the years, since I started, like I said, 26 years ago, we've seen more knowledge, not just amongst the public, but amongst those of us who practice in the system. And the courts and parliament have increased sentencing powers, you know, exponentially from when people used to be convicted of these offenses and look at less than 5 years imprisonment. You know, the maximum is now 25. So you can get anything, you know, from the beginning right up to the top. But that's one way that I know at least parliaments, and that's both governments, to be fair, have always seen this as a priority. One of the other things that we see as a benefit legislatively is in those last set of amendments that I talked about in 2019, it gave the police and my office powers to proceed even in the absence of a parent or guardian wanting the matter to proceed. Now that may sound a bit, you know, harsh, but sometimes it's the parent or the guardian who's accused, right? And if it's the parent or guardian who gets to decide if the matter is prosecuted, that doesn't seem fair. So in 2019, we got the power to proceed without that consent from the guardian or the parent.
That's huge as well, because I know that there have been cases in Bermuda where people decline to move forward, but not I want the audience to understand how big that is, because there are cases I can remember where they didn't move forward because the person wanted to withdraw their complaint. And
it's particularly bad for children, right? Because like you guys were saying, the children don't get to speak up for themselves. And so previously we were reliant on guardians or parents. And if they didn't want to get involved for whatever reason, sometimes it's religious reasons, sometimes the parent themselves suffered from trauma and don't want to put their kid through it, but it still needs to be looked at, in my humble opinion, right? It's not about the parent's comfort. It's about making sure the child is safe and other children are safe from whoever this alleged offender might be.
Absolutely. Well, there's been progress, as you just said, but despite the progress, we still hear about serious delays in getting these cases to court. Can you speak to the challenges your office faces, particularly around the resources like courtroom availability right now?
So there are two types of delay. because of the good work of SCARS, what we see now are a lot more what we refer to as historic cases, because Bermuda doesn't really have a statute of limitations depending on what the nature of the abuse is being alleged. So people can come forward now, and I encourage all your listeners, if they are, survivors of that type of abuse and they haven't seen the justice system, people come forward 30, 40 years later. Yeah. So that's that type of delay. That comes with its own sort of challenges, because the court would have to understand what took so long, right? For lack of a better phrase. And then there are other delays where things come to court. The statute says we have to treat child sex offenses as a priority. So they do move a little quicker than your average sort of case involving adults. But yeah, no, we have some difficulties with courtroom space. I know that the Chief Justice is working on building another courtroom. So we're very excited about that. But the other thing is that with the advances where we can have the child's evidence recorded in advance, that helps. So even if the actual trial doesn't finish, the child's portion of it is. So it's a work in progress, but it is moving better than it has done in the past.
Got you. And audience, again, if you have any questions or comments, you can send them through and I'll get through as many as possible. Obviously, you're not in a position to go into particular cases, and that's not what we'll do here. But there are, you mentioned just, there's no statute of limitations. However,
for most offenses, yeah.
Right. But there are times where cases may not be able to proceed. So the person has to be competent to stand trial.
That's right. So if you think about it, it wouldn't be fair for a person who's no longer compass, so who doesn't have the ability to assist in their own defense, then the law says, no, I shouldn't be prosecuting them. It doesn't mean that they won't get necessarily help from hospitals, but the criminal justice system cannot punish someone who is no longer able to even understand what's happening. So for example, people who are suffering from dementia, there are those who have certain mental health issues and crisis type offenses, or crisis type of, I don't want to say diseases because that's wrong, but there might be people who have psychiatric issues that are documented and proven, which means that they don't understand what they've done is right or wrong. So those people, no. Yeah.
Got you. If you're tuned in on the radio, we've got the Director of Public Prosecutions, Cindy Clarke, in the house, where this segment is with SCARS, proudly brought to you by the QBE Foundation. WKD Lama has a question asking, what can be done regarding habitual offenders?
Okay, so you broke a bit, but is it what can be done for habitual offenders?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So assuming she means habitual child sex offenders, they can be prosecuted for the multiple victims. I'm assuming what she means, or if it's multiple occasions with one victim, that can also be prosecuted. I think the question is talking about sentencing options. So there are longer periods of imprisonment. There is the sex offender registry. And so there are multiple different sentencing options for different types of people. Someone who has committed multiple offenses, we do have what we call supervision, which is a stronger sort of, even once they are released, there are certain things they have to check in and tell us about, and they are monitored. But yeah, there are stronger sentencing provisions for those who would be what your question is referring to as habitual. So there are stronger sentencings for those.
We still see people coming and forward with charges years later. Is something that just continues to happen. How important, again, credit, as you said earlier, props and credit to Debbie and her team at SCARS, because I mean, seeing them, I think they've given people a level of comfort. But how important is it for the community to get behind and support the work that they're doing to ensure that even more people feel comfortable?
Yeah, so I mean, as a wearing my SCARS director hat, I would encourage people who are in fact SCARS trained to share that training with people around them and let them know, the warning signs and what to look for, and also to be able to support people who are going through. A lot of times they aren't going to want to say, I was abused 30 years ago or anything, or I'm going through the court system. But those of us who are SCARS trained should be able to help out in certain circumstances. Of course, coming forward as soon as it happens is best case scenario, but we can still prosecute in those circumstances. And we have been successful in quite a few of them.
Indeed. Suzanne Ingham, she says, I really like that the child does not have to be in the same room as the perpetrator. That is big progress for our children. Very good news. Are there any other things that you can share that are in the works due to the advocacy of SCARS that may be coming down the pipeline to, make it people more comfortable coming forward, but also ensure people that justice delayed is not justice denied?
Right. So SCARS is always going to be an advocate and a team of people who are going to make sure that the people of Bermuda are educated. And that's a big thing. And I don't mean it to be say like who's gone to university. I mean people who know what an offense is, because even now in 2025, when we meet with people who have come forward to SCARS and SCARS has facilitated them coming to our office, a lot of people don't appreciate what happened to them is an offense. So I know that SCARS is looking to broaden the education campaign to advise people over what sort of behaviors are unacceptable. Like those stats were saying, a lot of our children historically had been physically abused. Some had been touched. Some don't realize that that isn't normal.
You're right.
Right. And that's really sad. But that's how we need to be moving forward and letting people know it's not okay to do these things to children.
Indeed. Thank you for that. A couple of questions regarding DPP. Mark Arthur C. Phillips is asking, how closely does the DPP work with various child protection groups on the island?
So we do work with quite a few third sector, I think is what he means, like charities who come forward to assist. SCARS is a big one because they have an advocacy bit where they also support the victim going through the process. There is a government child safeguarding board that my office is a named member of. So there is an umbrella group within the government that also all work together in respect of child safeguarding.
All righty. And a question from Karen Simmons. Is there any child advocacy training that a prosecutor is encouraged to have, especially when it relates to child abuse cases, sensitivity training?
So absolutely. Not every prosecutor in my office will deal with cases where children are witnesses. I myself was trained that way. We have 3 others who are specially trained. But yes, absolutely. Before any prosecutor is assigned to a case where a child is a witness, there is training that's put on through the UK. There's a couple of US ones, but the UK is where we tend to look for the training. And our office, I'm proud to say, also trains our counterparts in the Caribbean. So yeah, we're pretty much leading in this area in our region.
Okay. And one last question. What would you say to someone who might be tuned in right now who, they've for years wanted to come forward with whether it was them who was abused or information they have on something, but they just are afraid? What would you say to them?
So I would encourage anyone who's listening or streaming to, if you're not comfortable going to the police directly, then please reach out to Debbie at SCARS. She can support you through the process. And it might be, there's lots of different options. It might be that she facilitates a conversation with me specifically in my office, and I can, hear your story and give you some guidance on how to move forward. I would encourage people to at least tell someone who will help them go through the process, because it might be that you're holding back because you think it's just my word versus somebody else's word. There's almost always something that can corroborate your position. People just don't think of it. Not every case requires DNA. Not every case requires, video footage of it. It might be something as simple as you remember it was by cut match and your friends from cut match remember who you were with that day. So I encourage people to at least try. Everybody who I've worked with who has come forward at least to share their story has felt better because of it. So I would encourage people to at least make that effort. If you're not comfortable going straight to a police officer, please feel free to reach out to SCARS.
Indeed. One last question from the audience. Dexter Smith's asking, the sex offenders register, how effective is that given our small size? And upon release, how do we better matriculate the offender into the community?
That's a great question. So the registry in Bermuda is not a public one, but if you are in a circumstance, you can write and ask whether or not someone's on it. So if you are an educator or a school group or child group person for like camps, or you run an after school program or anything like that, you can actually write in, I would say, to the Commissioner of Police and or the Attorney General and ask whether a particular person's name is on the register. How effective is it? It's hard to say. Bermuda is small, right? And, you would know, and you would see sometimes the Attorney General makes a public announcement of someone being released from prison, but that isn't everyone being released from prison. That's within her discretion. I think it is effective. People generally are becoming more aware of the dangers involving children. So I do think it is effective. People are also very kind in Bermuda. And I've only ever known of one example where someone who was released felt harassed once they were amongst the public. So I do think it is effective.
Thank you for that. And I don't know if this is your place to answer, but I do wonder if we could make it public one day, or what is the reasoning behind it not being public?
Right. So to make it public, that would require legislative change, and that's not me. But the next time we have an election, talk to your representative who's coming around to talk to you at that point. And if it's something you feel strongly about, it's something you should raise with your politicians, with your MPs.
Thank you much. This is an awesome conversation. Thank you, Ms. Clarke, for making the time for us. And thank you to SCARS and QBE Foundation for ensuring we can have these conversations regularly. And please don't be a stranger. If there's anything ever that your office needs to communicate to our audience and general public, please don't be a stranger. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Hartman. Well, thank you very much. Have a great day.
You as well. That was Cindy Clarke, the Director of Public Prosecutions, coming on behalf of SCARS and QBE Foundation. Folks, don't go anywhere. We're going to take our final break. We'll come back in a few to wrap it up. I'll give my final thoughts. Again, if you haven't already, if you appreciated that conversation and the information that the DPP shared, please, whatever platform you're on, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, X, Instagram, help us beat the algorithm and give us a like, love, follow, and share that conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Make sure as many people as you know have access to these community conversations as possible.
Join 14,000 SCAR certified members in Bermuda, and you can help reduce the risk of childhood sexual abuse. Become an advocate and a voice for our children. Get trained, get certified. We offer community and private sessions. Visit scarsbermuda.com to register for training. You'll also find valuable information and resources on our website. Visit scarsbermuda.com. Get certified today. SCARS, saving children and revealing secrets.
Looking for the best care for your pets? Novazoc Feed and Supply has everything you need, from top quality foods to toys and supplies. We've got it all. Join our frequent buyer program and earn rewards every time you shop. Plus, we've been awarded the Clever Customer Initiative program for helping you save more. And don't forget, we open an hour early on Saturdays so you can get a head start on your pet care. Visit us today or shop online for easy pickup or delivery. Your pets will thank you.
Did you know 3 out of 4 people say that they have a good understanding of life insurance? But do they really? When asked how much the yearly cost would be for a 20-year, $250,000 level-term life insurance policy for a healthy 30-year-old, 80% overestimated the cost by 5 times the amount. Ready for this? The true cost for that policy is about $220 a year. That's as little as 66 cents a day, or $20 a month. So let's put this into perspective. Compared to other monthly costs, isn't getting life insurance a no-brainer? If you can trim back on some of these expenses just a little bit, it will allow you to dedicate the savings toward an affordable life insurance policy. Contact one of our life insurance agents today to find the right policy for you.
All righty. Thanks again to SCARS, QBE Foundation, and the Director of Public Prosecutions, Cindy Clarke, for this morning's conversation. Again, audience, do us that big favor. If you're on one of our social media streams, please give us a like, love, follow, share, subscribe. Make sure as many people as you know have access to these important conversations as possible. We appreciate that. Thanks again to the BAC group of companies, Medical House, Linda's, People's Pharmacy, and of course Hot 1075 for ensuring that we're pumping through your radio so that you have access if you're away from your computer, Wi-Fi, or devices. It's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, audience, this is an easy one. Are you ready? It's music related today. All right, this is for the younger folks. What record label featured famous artists such as Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, and Tupac. I knew he'd get it. He means Death Row Records. Yes, Mark Arthur C. Phillips, you got that. I said, who is a hip hop head, and I knew he would get it. Death Row, Jewel Eve, Death Row, Shayna Smith, Death Row, Headley Swan, Death Row. Yeah, everybody knew Death Row. I was hoping you all knew this. Death Row Records, yeah. That was it. Def Jam? Auntie Karen. Auntie Karen. No, it was Death Row. But yeah, it was Death Row. But let's wrap it up, folks, because I know some of you have got to run. You want to watch the cost of living. Well, I want to watch the cost of living summit thing as well. But I want to say this regarding Bermuda College. I think there's an opportunity. But I think we need to focus on locals first. As a community, we need to, I keep saying this running theme within. The solutions for many of the things in our community are within. Bermuda College is part of that solution. Economically, academically, and socially. I want us to consider the role we play in ensuring that not just Bermuda College succeeds, but when Bermuda College succeeds, so does Bermuda. So just keep that in mind and ask yourself after this show, what can I do? As far as the conversation with the DPP, Miss Cindy Clarke, every time we have guests like this, my hope is that we don't just take things from them, but we do things with the information. And I'm hopeful that whether it's getting SCARS training or supporting them in any way you're able, that the response improves our community and makes our children safer. I have to give you a daily inspiration, and I hadn't looked at one. So we're gonna do the old, what does it land on, Jamal? And we're gonna go with I'm still here, folks. It's funny how it landed on Anita Hill, who had accused Clarence Thomas of, but she says, quote, I'm going to use it, quote, women who accuse men, particularly powerful men, of harassment are often confronted with the reality of the men's sense that they are more important than women as a group, end quote. Wow. That's Anita Hill. And Anita Hill was a lawyer, educator, writer, and feminist, best known for her testimony during the 1991 Senate confirmation hearings of Supreme Court Justice nominee Clarence Thomas. All right, folks, time to wrap it up, let you go. But do not forget, if you haven't already, whatever platform, please just give us a like, love, follow, share. Don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. I'm Jamal Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are Izell. Peace.